listening to Ken Hudnall. This is the Ken Hudnall Show. Coming to you from our studios right here in exciting El Paso, Texas. Gateway to the Old West and the most haunted city in the country. This is June 16th, 167th day of the year. Holidays observances. Fresh Veggie Day. World Sea Turtle Day. Moon's Day. Delves into the tapestry of Dublin life. National Fudge Day. National Day of Family Remittances. World Refill Day. Sustainable alternatives. Reduce waste. Conserve resources. National Day of the African Child. National Take Your Cat to Work Day. National Waterfall Day. Armorist Appreciation Day. National Play Catch Week. Waste and Recycling Workers Week. Marine Disability Week. Oxfam Water Week. Animal Rights Awareness Week. Refugee Week. And Bees Knees Week. There was people born on this day, Tupac Shakur. Alrighty, let's see what we got in the news. There's been a shooting in Minnesota 2 days after gunman was a police officer targeted 2 state lawmakers over that shooting. Defense Secretary Hayes gives the latest on our response to Israel drone strikes. Israel cleaned Iran's clock. Social media erupts over the unpopular amount California shells out to illegals every year. This is your taxpayer dollars, folks. $134 million. That should have been going to fire recovery. They're going to pay undocumented immigrants to sit around, wait. Investigation uncovers that 70 DNC affiliates organized the anti-Trump demonstrations across 21 states. These are not spontaneous demonstrations. These are democratically organized and paid for demonstrations. The demonstrators are actually paid to show up. The last I heard, it was $25 an hour to show up and demonstrate, which is not bad no matter how you look at it. The OC is running her mouth again. She did the DHS press conference. Could be mixed reaction from lawmakers. Started out with Senator Alex Padilla, Democrat of California, at a Colorado Department of Homeland Security press conference in LA on Thursday. House Majority Leader Hakeem Jeffries of New York, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York, Ana Paulina of Florida, and Jim Jordan of Ohio spoke to Fox News after the thing was just going around the hair. One day AOC, it was crazy. Jefferson was discussing. Secret Service handcuffed him and took him out of the room. Calls for the one to step down because there people who did it. Then DHS Secretary Kristi Noem ended up holding a meeting after that, which Padilla's office described as civil. Democrats are concerned that it looks bad. Governor Newsom handcuffed the police regarding the LA riots and exposes a reactionary leadership failure, as according to the former sheriff's deputy. The Democratic leadership left law enforcement defunded, defamed, and demoralized. There were no condition to deal with these riots. TSA agents arrested for allegedly attacking a 39-year-old passenger at the Florida airport. A 21-year-old agent forcibly pushed a 79-year-old woman to the ground, causing her to hit her forehead. The TSA agent was arrested for assault. This is at Fort Lauderdale's airport. He said he forcibly pushed her. Tommy Wilson Robinson, 21, of Margate, was taken into custody after the incident at Fort Lauderdale Airport. As the Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport. The station, citing a Broward Sheriff's Office arrest report, said Wilson Robinson attacked a woman from Palm Beach Garden by forcibly pushing her, causing her to fall and hit her head on the floor. She suffered minor bruising. It wasn't clear what led to the altercation. Mexico's president's called for the U.S. immigration forces to spare the fans of the soccer game. There have been nearly 400 arrests. LA remains under a curfew. California Sheriff says nearly a dozen deputies injured in an anti-ICE riot. And the sheriff warns of violent agitators as law enforcement prepares for more demonstrations against the Trump administration. Yeah, let's see. DHS has turned the tables and moved with Warren after she called for Norman to resign. The DHS said Senator Padilla tried to manufacture a controversial moment by crashing the press conference. He was not invited. Warren Pocahontas, as so many know her, is trying to find something to hang her head on. Let's see. According to former IDF intel chief, time for Israel to take out the head of the snake. Target members of the Iranian regime. Israel's Iran campaign is unlike any they've launched before. Let's see what else we got. David Beckham has been knighted. He becomes Sir David. And wife Victoria becomes Lady Beckham. And Charles III bestowed the knighthood on the 50-year-old British soccer icon. Fetterman and Bill Mayer actually agree on something. The chaos in LA and the Democrat perhaps will rise is a good thing for President Trump. Well, there's riots in Austin, Texas. It's been primarily a blue city. It's joined in the LA chaos as anti-ICE agitators attack officers in violent riots. Texas officials, as you might guess, vow swift accountability for property damage as national unrest continues. women's fencer who knelt in protest with trans athletes being pitted against her reacts to USA fencing reversing controversial policies. Stephanie Turner ignited intense pressure on USA fencing after her violent protest. It only took 2 months for them to decide that maybe women and men shouldn't be pitted against each other. Richard Simmons has put his LA home up for sale for $6.9 million. He died in July. And it's taken this long for anybody to do anything about his property. Almost sanctuary to the Greek god Hudnall, discovered by archaeologists. They found massive statues and rare inscriptions. According to reports, archaeologists made numerous spectacular discoveries in a long-forgotten temple, an ancient Greek god, or antiquities in Cyprus. Put up some Facebook posts showing some of the things they found. Apollo was god of archery, the son of Zeus, venerated both in ancient Greece and ancient Rome. There were 12 Olympian deities in Greek mythology, and so they lived in Olympus along with the father Zeus and his sister Artemis. About 60 people were arrested after veterans anti-ICE demonstration in Washington, D.C. Charged with assault with a police officer and resisting arrest. They breached a police line of bike racks and advanced up the steps leading to the Capitol Rotunda. 40 organizers and veterans and family members planned to sit in on the Capitol steps to protest President Trump's deployment of the National Guard and activating Marines in LA in response to anti-ICE protests. On Saturday, also comes on Trump's 79th birthday. He promised to speak anybody to protest the parade to be met with heavy force. And White House Press Secretary Carolyn Levitt said later that Trump supports peaceful protest. It was originally a group of about 75 protesters who were demonstrating peacefully Friday night at the Supreme Court across the street from the Capitol, according to a letter from the Capitol. I think that pretty much takes care of it. Now it's time for us to the remaining story, which, as you might guess, deals with military ghosts in history. Now, of course, there have been so many battles in history, and many battles led to stories of ghosts and hauntings. How about the ghosts of William Wallace? The ruins of the castle of the powerful Montgomery clan stand on what's known as the Castle Hill in Ardrossan in Ayrshire in Scotland. It's said to be haunted with the ghost of the great Scottish patriot Sir William Wallace of Wolseley. After his defeat by Edward I in 1298 in Falkirk, Wallace was taken away and drawn and hung and quartered on August 23, 1305 at Smithfield. His giant ghost was seen on stormy nights in the castle with his great sword raised in anger. Bruce. The Battle of Neville's Cross in Durham, October 13th, 1346, was between the English and the Scots and proved a disaster for the invading 20,000 strong Scottish army under King David II. Opposing Neville's Cross was the English army of about 15,000, led by Lord Ralph Neville and Abbey Castle in Durham. English archers and cavalry slaughtered the Scots without quarter. Their ghost haunted the scene of their death. One of the dead soldiers' wives, who was carrying her babies away in the haunted area of the battle, thinking for her soldier husband. 1569, Charles Neville, Westmoreland, had Abbey Castle as a stronghold, but was ill-advised to fight against the military power of Henry VIII. So Neville fled abroad and was eventually buried in Holland. His ghost comes back to haunt what was originally his castle. And we've got the ghost related to Agincourt. So Piers Lee fought and died in battle in Agincourt in 1450. His body was brought back to Park House, Disley in Cheshire. His sweetheart, whose name is Blanche, followed Sir Piers Lee Cortez through the park and died of a broken heart. The ghost said the haunt Lane Park House. Their sad figure still follows the ghost of Cortez, which is seen quite often making its way through the park. Well, from the Cortez, let's go to the ghost of the Black Prince. For this, we have to go to Hall Place in Bexley in Kent, where we see the ghost of 14th century Edward, the Black Prince of Wales. Has been seen as a completely featureless black figure. Well, the Black Prince commanded the vanguard of the Battle of Crecy in 1346 when he was just 16 years old. For some unknown reason, ghost appears at the Hall Place to warn of great danger and warning for the British nation. During the First World War, his ghost was seen 3 times, each one before British defeats. Often at dusk in his distinctive black armor to the strains of 14th century music. Prince of Wales is buried at Canterbury Cathedral. His effigy in black armor is often seen there. From there we go to Alchester Castle, and as a lady goes. Good Friday, 1264. Castle was attacked with Simon de Montfort's troops, and one of the armed defenders was killed by an arrow through the heart. That's the one. The ghost, still with the arrow in their heart, revisits the castle and remembers of his violent death. October 17th, 1346, the Scots under King David Bruce attacked Neville Castle in Durham. They were defeated and the king was taken prisoner. Local legend has it that some people with sensitive minds can, if they walk around the castle 9 times and lay down on the ground, you can hear the sounds of the battle. Now, the highways and byways around Market Bosworth and Leicester are said to be haunted by the figure of a headless, ghostly soldier. Nobody knows who he is or when he died. Battle of Hudnall Moor near Lancaster, West Yorkshire, took place in 1408 on the site of what is now Drummond Park. At night, the area of the pitch sounds to the martial noise of ghostly men and horses who still fight their long-ago battle. Those sounds are panic-stricken soldiers fleeing the battlefield to save their lives. And those soldiers who didn't make it to safety were slaughtered with no order given to make the ghostly sounds. We have the ruined Westminster Castle in Stratton, Cornwall. Said to be haunted by a knight named Ranulph. He went to the Crusades and came back, found that his wife had remarried, believing he was dead in battle with the Saracens. He was distraught, became a hermit until his own death. He was buried in the local church, but his ghost haunts the moat of his ruined castle. Nearby is the site of the Civil War battle of Stratton, May 16, 1643. The local army of Cornishmen killed over 300 of their enemy and captured another 1,500 soldiers. 7,300 dead are reputed to haunt the area of the battle. We have the armor-clad ghost of Sir Bannister, who died in the 17th century. He haunts Hasselham village in Northamptonshire. Shortly after his death, he appeared in full armor, walking the village streets and visiting houses. The local church sexton was digging Sir Robert's grave in the churchyard of St. Withock's Church in Passenham, and the ghost of the night appeared next to him and said, "I'm not yet ready." So the church sexton filled in the grave, but Sir Robert continues to stalk the village. So beware, be ready. Local vicar performed a service of exorcism, during which Sir Robert appeared in shouting armor, begged the assembled people to stop the service, and promised he'd stop haunting the place. But we've got Kensington Palace, reputed to be haunted by the ghost of King George II, who looks out a window. According to legend, he, as King and Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy, is looking for military dispatchers sent from heaven to Germany. Like this castle, and like this was Lothian, was in the 14th century, rebuilt in the 16th, and an artillery fortress and armorer's arsenal. Central tower is known as the prison tower for its incarceration of prisoners. 1998, a woman was climbing downstairs in Grim Tower when a ghostly knight in full armor confronted her. Leading to the spot, she was berated by the ghostly knight, which forced her to run down the wet stairs and escape out into the courtyard. Then strange noises were heard as her furniture was moving about over the stone floor. But no changes were seen when people later came to investigate. The Battle of Tewkesbury, May 4th, 1471. Sir John Winlock was a castrated divisional commander. He directed the main battle under his commander-in-chief, the Duke of Somerset. Now, the battle went badly for Lancaster. The Duke of Beaufort was alleged to have beheaded Winlock. So the family was supportive in changing sides during the battle. And, according to legend, the headless ghost of Sir John Winlock is reputed to haunt the grounds of Summerley's house in Bedfordshire. Helmet, said to be that of Winlock's, hangs in the Church of St. Mary in Bedfordshire. Now, in the village of Prestbury in Munster is haunted by the ghost of a royal messenger riding a white horse at gallop along Shaw Green Lane during the early hours of the day. Legend has that he was a royal messenger galloping through the village in 1471, bound for the camp of Edward IV at Tewkesbury, Edward IV, my ancestor. When the well-directed arrow from the bolt of Lancastrian shot him out of his saddle. Also in Prestbury, during the English Civil War, Roundhead soldiers were encamped in the village. During a night attack by the Royalist cavalry, the troops stretched out ropes at head height across Elmy Road through the village, and the trap worked. At night, a royal messenger was caught by the rope and torn out of his saddle. He was put to the sword and died immediately. He was a ghost still riding with the king's messenger. The ghost and his horse are invisible, heard only the pounding of hooves, which are both with the spot where he met his death. same method was used successfully during the Second World War by French resistance fighters during the German occupation, except they used wire instead of ropes. Hudnall Castle in Shropshire has two ghosts. One's Lady Marion de la Barriere defended the castle in a siege. Unfortunately, Torture was slain in the attacking force, and when she lowered a rope to admit him at night, he left it there so the attackers could gain access to the castle. He confronted Marion and killed her lover with his own sword and committed suicide by jumping from the hanging tower. The ghost still walks up the stairs in the tower. The second ghost, a soldier, died in the castle around 1513. For some reason, he didn't haunt the castle, he haunts the nearby Globe Hotel, where he gets much better room service. Then the Laycock Abbey, founded by Ella, Countess of Salisbury, stands in the Netherlands, by the Avon in Yorkshire. One night in 1250, the Abbey saw a ghostly skeleton knight appear in her rooms in the Abbey. From the coat of arms on his shield, she knew that was her son, who was fighting the crusade in the Holy Land. 6 months later, news came to the Holy Land that her son, in Longspeed, had died in battle with the Saracens, hacked to death by their scimitar swords on the day that his ghostly figure appeared to his mother. Look at the ancient Murcott Cross that stands in Edinburgh. There, the day before the Battle of Hudnall in Cumberland, September 9th, 1513, the ghostly men in unknown soldiers' uniforms appeared at the cross where they have the names of all those Scottish soldiers who had died in that stand battle. Amazingly, the ghostly prophecy was correct. The next day, 10,000 Scotsmen and King James died in battle with the English. There are frontiers of flowers in the forest, and the bagpipe of men is named after him. Well, in July of 1579, King Charles defended Spain and sent a punitive armed force to Ireland, which had a Newburyport and Carrion. After a failed attempt at battle with the local troops, the Spaniards built a stronghold at Ferry Cove and named it Fort del Orio. In November 1580, English army besieged the fort, which held out for a time, but eventually the English prevailed by force of arms. The Spaniards surrendered in good faith, but in spite of that, the English soldiers massacred them by axe and sword to the last man. The mutilated bodies were thrown into the sea and left where they were cut down. Spanish soldiers go south to spot where they died of agony. Their Spanish voices are heard on the anniversary of their death, crying out in agony. Well, Thomas Weir, the devil's disciple, was born in Arkin, Scotland in 1600. In 1649, he was appointed as commanding officer of the City Guard, and he supervised the execution of the Royalist Marquis of Montrose and became a respected pillar of the church. And he bought a large house in Westmore, Edinburgh, where he lived with his sister Brazil. 1669, for some unknown reason, he confessed he was in league with the devil and had for 34 years committed heinous sex crimes. His sister Brazil assisted him. He and his sister made full confessions of their crimes, including their promising of the familiar spirit. The moved of its own accord, she said, and directed by Lady Weir. Well, Weir and his sister were arrested by the Civil Guard and came to trial April 29, 1670. They were found guilty and sentenced to be executed. The usual capital punishment handed down, and they would be strangled and burned. Major Weir was executed outside the city walls, and his staff was burned with him. His sister Brazil was hung and burned, and seen room in your house and around the street. Sister Brazil, with her face and body badly burned, is also seen there. And then, of course, we have the ghostly news deliverer in the Chulish, the Coolish house is the ancient home of the Stuarts. The Chulish. This house in 1692, Captain Robert Campbell of Glen Lyon treated his older master, all McDonald's, under 70 at Glen Company. Now, the Stuarts had no part in this treacherous breach of Hudnall hospitality. It seems a regiment of Campbells except hospitality's gassed and killed 38 of the sleeping McDonald's in cold blood on February 12, 1692. This brutal atrocity is known as the Massacre of Glen Cove. There's a ghostly horseman who wears the tartan of the Stuart clan who gallops to the main door of the house, dismounts, and goes in the door and vanishes. He's delivering the awful news of the Massacre of Glen Cove to the chief of the clan, Stuart. After the massacre, ghostly pipers were said to lead the murdering Reginald Campbell's astray in the wilds of Glen Cove. Today, all this time later, Campbell's not welcome to the sad place of Glen Cove. One probably wouldn't have a notice put on above the bar and May Campbell served. You know, in the Highlands, tradition is everything. In 1756, Calvin Campbell, known as the Red Fox of our Calvin House, Glen Euro, shot dead by an unknown assassin in the arrested out of Hutton Priory. The Stuart clan was accused of his murder and hung at the Chulish, even though it later turned out that he was actually innocent of Campbell's murder. Campbell's ghost, who was seen wearing a Campbell tartan, walks the surrounding area of his death, is said he's still looking for his murderer, who has never been found. During the 7th century Scottish wars of the Covenanters, Gilby's Count Drummer, Cameron, supposed to beat his drum as a warning when the enemy was approaching. When the enemy did approach Cartashia Castle, on the Gilby's, the drummer failed to give warning, and they burned the castle to the ground. As a punishment, the defenders threw the drummer into the flames. The drummer said that he heard beating when Gilby's about to die in the castle. In 1881, the room was heard, and within an hour, the death of the Lord Howley occurred. The drum at the castle was tied onto his drum and thrown off the high wall for the castle to his death. His drum is said to be beaten by his ghost and the Howley family is about to die. Then in the 17th century, was General Tam Galliel. He died at age 6 in 1685. He was reputed to be in league with the devil. And according to the story, the devil promised him he'd be invulnerable and valuable if he played cards with him and he won. Galliel's home was known as the Bins. Blackness was located in, which he built to keep the devil out. Galliel and his bloody town was invulnerable in battle and ruthlessly killed his Covenanter enemies. His playing cards, drinking goblet, and knee-high riding boots were kept at the Bins. The boots will periodically disappear when the ghost of General Galliel borrowed them to ride his horse around the Bins. It's said he's still looking for enemy Covenanters. Now, the battles of the English Civil War gave rise to a lot of ghost stories and legends. Edmund Verney, the King's Standard Bearer, the first battle of the Civil War, which was at Edgehill, October 23rd, 1642. He died collecting the King's Standard. He haunts his own home, Clayton House, in Middle Clayton in Buckinghamshire. His body was never found, but the King's Standard was recaptured from the Roundheads with his hand, which had been cut off by the Roundheads. It had to be they tried to move his dead fingers from the standard, but they couldn't do it. So they just cut off the hand and left the regular standard. It still had Sir Edmund's signet ring on it and returned to Middle Clayton and buried, but apparently the ghostly Sir Edmund still looks for a severed hand. It's also said his ghost appears and never threatens his country or his family. He's one of the soldier ghosts who were recognized at reenactment of Edgehill. This was 1642. Several months after the actual battle. 1,000-strong mighty Roundheads led by Major General Philip Skipton besieged the manor house at Grafton Regis in Northampton. 1st of December 1643. Manor house was held, defended by the royalists under the command of Sir John Digby, who held out strongly for 4 days till December 24th. When Sir John surrendered the manor house to Major General Skipton, next day Skipton put the house to the torch to prevent it being used as a royalist base. 300 years later, during the Second World War, the same night as the house was first besieged, local villagers were awakened with the sounds of battle coming from the side of the manor house. They could hear the roar of cannon, cavalry riding at the gallop, with the riders roaring out in defiance of their enemies, the rattle of musket fire, and the sound of swords clashing and then dying in agony. It turns out, too, ghost mariners were reenacting their battle of the Civil War as the villagers cowered in their beds. The noise of the battle continued on through the night until the late dawn, when the noise faded away. So why did the ghostly armies wait 300 years to refight their battle? The dramatic events of the Second World War and the Allies beginning to gain the upper hand on the Germans have anything to do with it. Those that believe it was the case. Let's go to Gloucester. Little Dean Hall as the ghost of 2 royalist officers who were murdered in the dining room. Ghostly bloodstain appears on the spot where they both died. Both sides occupied the hall during the Civil War. 1740, 2 soldiers fought a duel on the grounds of the hall. It's not known why they fought. Single-shot flintlock pistols were used, and the normal code of dueling, known as the Continental rules, was adhered to. One man was killed and another was wounded. The dead dude was tossed to the hall and reputed to be looking for his wounded opponent who finished the job. The ghost of the Earl of Stafford haunts the chief hotel in Sheep Street in Daventry. There was a ghost of Charles I when he slept there before the Battle of Naseby in 1645. Ghostly Strafford when he came against Queen the Battle of Cromwell's army. But of course, Charles ignored the warning and lost the Battle of Naseby. The Naseby battlefield, the local population has seen the battle reenacted in the sky on its anniversary each year for over 100 years. House at Callow Inn near Worcester is the ghost of a cavalier who fought at the Battle of Naseby. In Weymouth and Dorset, we have the Boot Inn, built about 1600. It is the oldest pub in the town. In the Civil War, a vicious no-quarter battle took place outside the inn between the opposing Cavaliers and Roundheads. A lot of folks died in that slaughter, and their ghosts haunted the wood inn. It's still very popular despite the ghost, or maybe because of them. And it's said the beer is excellent. Woodcroft Manor in Hillspoon in Huntingdonshire, the Civil War continues. With the ghostly sound of steel and steel, the cries of the wounded and the dying. The castle was the scene of a vicious no-quarter fight when Cromwell's troopers slaughtered all the defenders to a man. The ghost of Charles I's chaplain, the Reverend Michael Hudson, is often seen and heard crying, "Mercy, mercy." He was thrown off the battlements, but managed to hold onto a projection. And as he hung there, trying to save his own life, the soldiers cut off his hands and he fell to his death. The Wars of the Roses is an interesting time period. The Battle of St. Albans in Hertfordshire took place in 1455. On the anniversary of the Vicious Battle, which is May 22nd, the buildings in Checker Street, which now occupy the space of the battlefield, was said to be filled with the sounds of battle and galloping horses and the clashing of swords as ghostly armies clash again and again and again. King Charles II used Salisbury Hall near St. Albans as his headquarters. And the ghost of one of his cavaliers haunts the crown chamber of the hall. Still at the storage that killed him, sticking out of his chest. His footsteps are heard on the stairway. Hudson has it as the messenger of the king, and on the way to the hall, a party of roundheads waylaid him. Desperate to escape, as he knew he was facing certain death, he made for the hall, sought sanctuary. Unfortunately, that did not end well for him. In fact, in terror, he killed himself with his own sword. Those who see him describe him as young and handsome, wearing classic cavalier clothing and silver-buckled shoes. And an armored knight from the Middle Ages, often seen near the ancient bridge over the moat of the hall. Windmill House, Bishop's Stratford, Hertfordshire, is the ghost of a volunteer militia officer who was accidentally shot in the grounds of the house. The Battle of Edgehill was fought on Sunday, October 23rd, 1642. Two vast armies of Roundheads and Royalists, totaling about 26,000 men, fought to a deadly stalemate. Christmas Eve, 1642, three shepherds watching their flocks and sheep on the side of the Battle of Edgehill in Warwickshire saw the battle reenacted in the sky. As goes the panorama of spirit armies clashed in the sky for several nights. Shepherds reported that the long ghostly battle to the local clergyman, Samuel Marshall, and the local magistrate, William Wood, who promptly set off to report the matter to the King Charles in Oxford. Hearing about the hauntings, King Charles I had a royal commission of officers under the leadership of Colonel Lewis Kirk had fought at the Battle of Edgehill to observe this unearthly battle. With Captain Dudley, Captain Lehman, and 3 more officers. All the members of the Royal Commission had fought and survived Edgehill. After viewing several ghostly replays of the battle in the sky, which 3-hour battle was bathed in bright and white light, according to the reports, the Commission reported back to Charles that on 2 occasions they'd seen soldiers they'd fought alongside fighting again in the sky. Statements were taken from local clergy and magistrates, all respectable and men of substance who had witnessed the ghostly battle. By the time elapsed since the battle, there are still reports that it had been refought again and again. Now it appears to be only the noise of war, no apparitions. They heard the shouts of the dying and the wounded, the roar of gunfire, and the clash of steel and steel. And one of us named Henry Kingsmill rode valiantly into the battle of a massive white horse and fought well and long, but the other side won, and Kingsmill died in battle. The ghost of his white horse is said to wander the battlefield each October 23rd looking for his master, Colonel Kingsmill. He was buried at Radway, short distance away. And the Edge Hill ghosts, incidentally, are the only ones which the public record offers that says those authentic. 1960, two soldiers posted to Melbourne under an army camp near Edge Hill, arrived at the convoy one afternoon that winter. They didn't know anything about Edge Hill and the ghost. They didn't spell their duty, they heard screams and the sounds of battle. Scared to death, of course, they retreated to the guard room and remained after the rest of their spouted did. Sighted the Battle of Marsden in the Moor, July 2nd, 1644. When Cromwell's 27,000 Roundheads defeated 18,000 Roman's cavaliers at the Long Marsden. It's still haunted by many spirits of 4,000 slain Roman soldiers who been seen frequently in the area, fleeing to escape the Roundheads. One is said to be the headless cavalier on horseback who appears to rise out of the ground of the battlefield. The nearby Long Marsden village clock strikes the hour of midnight. He gallops for a mile, stops, waits, turns back, and gallops at speed back where he started from, and slowly disappears into the ground. In November 1632, Dr. Wright and friend were driving in a car across Marshall Moor when they had to slow their speed to a thick fog ahead of them in the car headlights. They saw a group of men dressed in cavalry uniform directly in front of the car. The driver had to stop. He and his passenger got out to argue with them about standing in the road. When they got out, there was nobody there. No cavalry dressed soldiers in sight. The road was empty. Of course, the sightings continued in 1968, 1992. At Watson Manor in Indy on Dark Run, 12 ghostly cavaliers are sometimes seen seated around a table playing cards with the owner of the manor, who eventually, after a run of bad cards, gathered away the manor. The close in North Devon is Valley Farm, which is said that another ghostly cavalier haunts the cheese-making room at the back of the farmhouse. Also, Castle Hill in Torrington, North Devon, is haunted by the ghost of a soldier killed in action at the Battle of Torrington on February 16, 1646, in the Civil War. Cavalier said down court, Orpington in Kent. They appear in photographs taken on the stairs in the library. Salisbury Hall in Hertfordshire. The ghost of a cavalier is still seen. Still has a sword that killed him sticking out of it. He killed himself to avoid capture by pursuing Roundheads. Woodland Ferrers in Essex has the ghost of a cavalier at haunts Edwin's Hall. From a home of Edwin Sandys, Archbishop of New York in 1619. With the cavalier haunts White Towers and also in Essex. The bloodstained cavaliers haunt the chapel of the Great Hall of Goblin Manor in Tolden, Somerset. They're seen standing in front of the paneled walls. Cromwell's Roundheads were quartered in the hall during the war. In Pornington, about 2 miles north of Sherborne and Dorset, there were graves of badly armed peasant royalist supporters who were buried in Finial on the stream where they fell in June of 1644. In the command of one 20-year-old baldwin Mallet, the royalists engaged Cromwell's troops. Fight of Mallet on his horse, killing 20 Roundheads with his own sword. They were slaughtered and beheaded to a man. This ghost in the midnight where they fell. In the grassy mounds or graves, which is to be seen in the meadow near the mill stream. Mallet died of his wounds and was buried next day in the local churchyard. There's a painting that records his death. Reports talk about a small-bodied headless man and one headless woman. Nobody knows who she was. Holyman area. Then there's Wardour Castle, Anstey, Wiltshire, the Holy Arundel family. Built 1392. Now in the ruins after being blown up during the Civil War, Lady Blanche Arundel, 25 men held the castle against their own heads for 5 days. Then they were granted on them the terms of surrender. The Puritans, of course, being who they were, slaughtered all the defenders because they didn't keep the surrender terms. That brave lady was buried at Tisbury. The ghost is said to haunt the area around the castle lake. In Arundel Castle since 1580, home of the Dukes of Norfolk, who were the Earl Marshal of England, was bombarded and battered by Cornwall's guns during the directions for William Waller. Some say they can still hear the wind of the cannon on occasion. In the library of the castle, the ghost of the Cavalier has been seen since the time of Charles II. He's been named the Blue Man of the Library as he wears a blue silk Cavalier suit. Such reading books on the shelves in the library. Cromwell, Hampshire, the ghost of Cromwell's United Troops, still run along the road to the church. During the Civil War, Sir Robert Pye was on the Roundhead side, but his father was a royalist who held the family home, Farringdon House in Berkshire, for the king. Sir Robert attacked Farringdon House, but was killed. His headless ghost haunts Farringdon Church. Churchyard at Farringdon, Berkshire is also reputed to be haunted by the ghost of an 18th century naval officer, Hamden Pye. He was murdered by arrangement. His stepmother paid his captain to arrange for the ship's gun to blow his head off during a sea battle. And of course, the murder was duly carried out. His head was blown off. And his headless ghost returns to haunt his captain and his stepmother. They're riding with her in the coach. And the gunner who had blown his head off. And in case of friendly fire, the headless ghost of a cavalier named Goring rides a white horse. It's June 15th from Hudnall House in Hertfordshire, about 3 miles to Hitchin. He had hidden in the hollow of an elm tree that was found and killed instantly by such roundheads as his future wife watched for a window. The ghost of the cavalier rides the road from Ingatstone to Stock in Essex. One of those Lancashire is said to echo each August to the shuffling footsteps of Royalists and Highlanders making their way to the home. They were captured by Cromwell's troops and hung in August of 1648 in 3 branches. Woodstock Manor in Woodstock, Oxfordshire, was still in the grounds of Hudnall Palace Park and was occupied by Cromwell's commissioners from October 13th to November 2nd, 1649. The ghost known as the Royalist Devil of Woodstock, who caused mayhem to all there, plagued them. Glass was broken, they thrown them out, and candles and streets they went out, and ears from chamber parts were thrown in the beds. Commissioners gave up, moved out, and this apple apparently also lived on. I've been heard from since. The site's now a ruin, but only a stone like where it once stood. After the Battle of Petreavie in 1651, Cromwell's Roundheads quartered themselves at Fort Ellen in Fife. Earl Miller had teams of troops quartered at his mill, who, like victorious soldiers worldwide in those times, raped his wife and daughter continually. Miller poisoned the Roundhead troops and all died in agony. While the Roundheads came to the mill behind the Miller, but he had fled. So the Roundheads, unable to exact revenge against the Miller, instead hung his apprentice Jock instead on a nearby tree. Local stories talk about the fact that Jock can still be seen hanging from that old tree, his contorted face and bulging eyes visible on the Civil War. He was a cavalier, you see. He haunts Holland House, Westminster in London. Also known as International Youth Hostel, which is used by foreign students, and his ghost will be seen by some of them. We got Latin Abbey in Yorkshire. It's got the ghost of the cavalier who stands by the fireplace in the bedroom and was used by the Romans during the Civil War. And not to be outdone, the ghost of Cromwell himself is said to haunt the old town in the village of Marston. The old hall was his headquarters during the Battle of Ardennes. When he's seen, he's dressed in armor. He appeared again in 1832 at Apsley House in London. Also said to haunt the Gold Lion Inn, St. Ives, Huntington, and the Tides Barn at Ploversdale in Hampshire. In London, Red Lion Square is one of his appearance sites, along with two other men said to be Ireton and Bradshaw, who sounded the death blow for Charles I. And we got one more ghostly cavalier stories. The Crab and the Lobster Public House at Siddleston, 5 miles south of Chichester, Sussex, stands on the side of an old inn. Hidden behind by the 5 escaping cavaliers, one of whom was Sir Edward Hudnall, who fought a pistol battle with Cromwell's troops outside the inn. The troopers, of course, shot down all 5 cavaliers and carried them into the inn and died. Since then, it's alleged that the figure of a tall cloaked man has been seen in the present bar in the pub. In the summer of 1969, a medium visited the Crab and Lobster for dinner and said she saw the figure of a cavalier lying on the bar floor, dying with a bullet into his chest. And on that note, we come to the end of today's show. We'll be back tomorrow. Once again, we'll be listening to more stories of the strange